So Jagex released a huge update to what's going on in the league. I was initially planning on doing Zaya, Varlamore, and maybe Asgarnia, but now I really don't know. But I wanted to go over each of the items. So first off, the Cerberus one, the dog sword, which is hilarious. It seems fine. Like if you're choosing Asgarnia anyways, I think you can choose this one just fine. It does sound kind of cool to have the Armadil aspect combined with the Bandos. So you're getting like a huge defense reduction each time, as well as a giant heal. So that sounds really fun. I don't think it's enough to make me change my mind if I was not planning on doing it, because it's not that massive. But it could be fun to combine with the spec weapon if there's a relic that does that. For the desert, we already knew about this one, but the fact that it rolls accuracy twice is really interesting. I think if you're not ranged, it might even be more appealing to look at, because generally if you're already ranged, you're already extremely accurate, but it would help a lot if like melee or mage was your primary attack style. Then you could have this to use as your off style. So if you're doing like TOA or chambers as a meleeer, you'd have like a solid ranged weapon to accompany you with. And the attack speed's already just like a blowpipe, 2 ticks. So if you're a ranger and using this and it halves it down to like 1 tick, then it starts to become really annoying to use if you're moving around, because you can't really move and attack at the same time. The Grotesque Guardians one is fine. No, it is the same as Barrel's Gloves. It's fine. If you were planning on going Mauritania, I think it would be fine. I don't see it becoming crazy useful if you weren't already planning on going Mauritania. I think what they're doing is, since Mauritania is already a good region, they don't need to add any more incentive to go there. I think what they're trying to do is buff up the weaker regions to make them more appealing by comparison, which really brings us to the wilderness one. Like, this sword is crazy good. Like, just looking at the melee strength alone, 100 melee strength, just in comparison, like a blade of Saeldor has 89 strength. So it's way better than a blade of Saeldor already, just with its normal auto attacks. So if you're going melee, this thing looks really, really strong. And if you combine it with the special attack, if there's some sort of special attack relic, I mean, goodness, like AoE lightning everything down. And then the offhand is amazing too. It's so strong compared to a defender, so you don't need Asgarnia for defender. And it works as a pseudo shield. Like, it has a solid amount of defense stats as well. And then of course the immunities. I don't know how useful the immunities are going to be. If you're doing dragon, I guess. I mean, it's fine. Like, that part's really good. So this makes it wilderness already really appealing. When wilderness is already like a pretty decent choice as a way to support your other heavy raid regions. So I'm seriously considering swapping my Asgarnia for wilderness. The wilderness is already good with like supplies and things like that. So this is looking really appealing. Next, the Kandarin one. This is basically just if you're going mage, there's just a little something extra to do. Honestly, I'm a little disappointed they didn't do something more with Kandarin, because Kandarin's already pretty meh. And even if you're mage, this doesn't seem that great. I mean, it's fine. It's a good upgrade. Like, it's better than a fully charged Eladinus ward with 6 mage strength as an offhand item. So it does do what they wanted it to do, which was give your other magic weapons some sort of bonus if it's not a Tumikin Shadow. But honestly, this feels kind of bad to choose. If you get it, and then you do get a Tumikin Shadow, then this whole weapon becomes completely useless, which most mage relicers, I think, want to go for a Shadow. But it does give you some sort of bonus if you don't end up getting a Shadow. Like, I personally cannot do Desert again, because I grind enough TOA in the main game on my Iron Man, and I don't want to be doing that in leagues. So I guess this gives you a route to choose magic and not just guaranteed go for the Desert. So in that regard, it's actually pretty successful if that's what his goal is. The Fremennik one is crazy. Just for these stats, 30s all around. Like, I'm comparing it to the Rancor. The Rancor only has 12 strength, melee strength, and 25 attack bonuses. And so this is way better than the Rancor even. And you combine that with the incredible 15 range strength, 10% magic damage. That's like the old occult before it got nerfed. And that's just the necklace. And then the ring is the same, in the same boat. An Ultor gives 12 rank strength, melee strength, and this gives you 15. The Venator ring, it only gives you 2 range strength, and this thing gives you 15. Like, that's crazy how strong that is. And then just on top of that, they threw in 10 prayer, because why not? And 5% magic damage. So Fremennik is looking pretty crazy, honestly, as a solid support region suddenly. I think this one is like the biggest winner of this whole Echo Boss variant. So it could take Fremennik from being like a bottom 3 region into being like a top 3 region automatically. Hunllef, it has another amazing one. The biggest thing about getting Hunllef is if you're going for a Bofa, doing the gauntlet over and over again and doing that prep phase every single kill is just brutal on leagues. Usually you expect your kill count to go really quick. So God Wars, for example, you completely annihilate, like, say, Bandos within like 10 seconds. You go to your pool, you last recall, you start it again, annihilate Bandos within 10 seconds. And that's how League is supposed to feel, is you're just rapid fire killing things. But the gauntlet is so slow normally because the League bonuses don't help you go through the prep phase any quicker at all. But being able to skip the whole phase and just go right to the boss and just start nuking him down and having fun with the boss, I mean, that alone makes this really awesome. But this also makes Turin Win an awesome place to go if you're a melee. I don't really understand how far reaching the effects will be on the melee weapon, because you get like 30% accuracy and 15 strength, I think it is, if you have the crystal equipment to apply to melee weapons. I feel like if you're the melee relic though, your accuracy is already kind of cracked. It gets such a bonus. So that part of it's kind of irrelevant. And then the strength is, I'm sure it will be really good. I don't know if it's worth choosing a whole region though, just because of this, but it's definitely enough to shake things up. Hespori one, this weapon sounds really cool. I'm planning on doing Zaya myself, and I was kind of concerned with, okay, do I need an off style? I'm thinking of going ranged. So if I do an off style for magic and melee, like what will my weapon be? Especially a magic. I don't really have access to a charged trident. So I was kind of curious what I would do, but this really takes care of any issues you would have of going into a raid, just giving you some sort of basic tribrid weapon to be able to use. So I think they nailed it with this one. Zaya already is like pretty much one of the best regions you can take. So this doesn't need to be that strong to make Zaya any more appealing, because it already is appealing. So this just makes it that much easier. This is a great item, I think, to have. Okay, Varlamore. Varlamore I was like on the fence about. I was like, I don't know if there's enough really here to keep me engaged, but Soul Heredit is my favorite boss in the game, by far. And the fact that this is like a Grandmaster challenge makes it that much more interesting to see like how difficult they can really make Soul. Like what more mechanics can they add to him to make him more appealing? And I get to skip all the waves. So the second I heard that, and it's a guaranteed drop too. All the other ones, it seemed like they are a random chance. So you kill Hunllef normally in Corrupted Gauntlet, and there's a chance you might get the item, right? And same with all the other things. But this one is a guaranteed. So you do the whole Coliseum once, and you get the guaranteed item that lets you skip all the waves and go right to the boss. Which that is like my dream anyways, because I just love just doing this boss. I find it so fun to do over and over again. So I'm going to choose... Varlamore is locked for me automatically. What I don't know if I want to do now is swap ranged for melee. I did melee last leagues, so I'm trying to be a little different and change it up this time. But this Sunlight Spear looks really cool. I was looking at the strength. It's 113 melee strength, so it's not quite as good as the Noxus Halberd, which is 142 strength. Because this is a 5-tick weapon, so that's probably the best item to compare it to. But the special makes it seem pretty interesting. You can AoE stuff around you. I'm thinking of it similar like a Din's Bulwark special, where you just slam and AoE the ground everywhere. The gloves are solid too. They're not quite as good as Barrow's gloves. I think they're Rune gloves equivalent-ish. But they also have, the melee strength, the range strength. It's pretty solid, but being able to double your heal might be pretty nice, and you might be able to choose a different relic accordingly. I know last year I took the Soul Stealer equivalent relic, so I could solo Nex, and that was fun to do because it helped me stay alive. But if you have something that can double your healing, then can you combine this with like a Blood Fury, you're chilling, especially if you're melee. I guess the spear is two-handed, but it includes the shield, so that's pretty cool. Like, it has a lot of defensive things too. And you get to just cosplay as Soul Heredit basically by equipping the spear and shield. So all in all, I think I'm guaranteed going to choose Varlamore now just because of this. So I think my regions are definitely... Varlamore is locked. Zaya is more or less locked. I want that to be my raid region because like I said, I do not want to do TOA in leagues. And then the third one is kind of up in the air. Fremennik is honestly looking incredibly strong. These two things, I can't understate how strong these two items are. But Wilderness is looking really, really cool too. So... And I always love Asgarnia because I love pest control boosting. But if that doesn't pan out, then I don't know. I'm going to have a hard time. But if I choose melee, then I'm kind of trolling if I don't choose Mauritania, right? I don't know. I'm sure we'll have more announcements to figure it out. But overall, these things are super amazing. And looks like they'll be a lot of fun to help shake the league up.